So you're asking if it helps to shape, the way that the tracks get recorded and the tone of it. Absolutely. I think that those 2 days in Muscle Shoals, that was part of the last session of the 3 sessions that made up the recording of Feral Roots. Scott and I had been working on the tracks that we were getting ready to record. He and I had been working on these songs and going back and forth on writing and arranging how things were going to go. And once we got down to Muscle Shoals, there was an environment there that informed the way we went about things.
You know what the Muscle Shoals, you know what that is, the Jackson Highway building is?
It was a casket showroom or something like that, right?
Something like that,
originally, yeah. No, yeah.
And it looks like that. It's a real plain building, and it's got the address really big across the front. It's the same one like on the Share cover, and in countless pictures people photographed, we photographed in front of it. And it's like deep. Like it's like in a remote area, so you kind of feel like...
Yeah, it's got a basement, underneath. And
yeah, it's got a funky basement. Like right when you walk in there, shit went down. And we had a shape kind of the album. We kind of knew what kind of shape it was taking, and we had saved these like really juicier or deeper kind of tracks for the end of the session. Me and Jay knew we had songs that were like, these are immediately going to be gratifying. They're quick punches. They're right for the jugular. Let's do those first. Let's get those out of the way, or not out of the way. Let's just emphasize those. So the label or any of us, we know we have this in the bank, kind of. That way we can come back to these, I don't know, like diamonds.
Well, I also feel these songs that were saved for that last session, they needed time to be distilled. They needed time to keep, they were sophisticated in a different way, and they needed that kind of space, like work on it for a while, sit back, okay, does that feel right as the statement? Those last songs were the ones more than any on the record. Okay, let's let it cook a little bit. Let's let it cook a little bit longer. The tracks that...
Title track, Feral Roots.
Feral Roots.
Stood by Me.
All Directions.
All Directions and Imperial Joy.
Imperial Joy. Those were the tracks that were recorded down in Muscle Shoals. I had to do a fair bit of lobbying, but it isn't because, everybody wanted to. It was just, we have these constraints. How are we going to make this work? And I'm so glad that we went down there.
We ended up having a great time.
Oh my God, yeah.
So it's kind of funny. The record is 11 tracks, and we spent 3 weeks essentially recording and mixing, and 4 of the tracks were cut in 2 days.
And that's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, of course.
Undoubtedly and questionably.
I sing for a living. Yeah. Do you sing for a living? No, and you still listen to the shit out of Aretha Franklin. Yeah, Aretha Franklin's kind of a big one.
Right. I don't only listen to Aliens from Space in my catalog, but she's one of them.
Yeah. No, Aretha Franklin, of course. And
she,
along with so many other people that have tracked some of their finest work in that very studio. And not just Muscle Shoals, but RCA Studio A, where we tracked the majority of the record. So many of these giants have made history in that very room that we were recording in. It makes you want to bring your A game, and I believe the band definitely did. Dave, it's just no bullshit. Dave knows exactly who we are, and I think that he'll jump in and he'll assert himself, and it's not that he's right 100% of the time. You can't expect that of anybody. He just has great instincts. He's got a great musical memory, and he knows how to get these tones, and we've been working with him for so long. There's a social and mental shorthand and familiarity. It doesn't mean that we're not going to argue about things, or hey, I think we should do this. I don't think that's a good idea. Well, at least give this a try. You should try this. And that's normal in any working relationship, He's just looking for authenticity. He's just looking for a true, honest word, an honest take. He demands the best of you, and at the same time, he's just asking you to be natural about it. I grew up in the woods. I grew up like 2 miles back on a dirt road with a lot of silence and you're surrounded by nature and wild animals and all of that stuff. And that was in Southern California in a town called Wrightwood. And I had to leave town at 19 because I knew I had to play music. I can't stay in a small town, right? So then, I moved down to Orange County, and then out to Long Beach, and you're just trying to get your hustle on. You got to play shows, you got to do all of this stuff. Well, and then so I find myself living in the city for years and years and years, and I just wanted to get back to the woods. We are surrounded by our own creation. We've built a life where we are literally surrounded by our own creation. All of the walls here, the cameras, the clothes that you're wearing, the furniture, the glasses, all of it. This is all human design. And that is the environment that we've created. Nature created us. We come from nature. We didn't create nature. And that wilderness and that feral part within us still lives there. And that is part of why we always try to get back to nature. We try to go camping and spend that time. And that's why it calms us. It calms our nerves. And so Feral Roots, that narrative is really from recognizing that and giving recognition to the wild nature that is still within you, that part of you that you won't let be domesticated, The song Feral Roots is really, the lyrics talk about that, about how you can move through things and you're still going to have this X factor.
I like how the track immediately that Jay gave me had a much more Appalachian kind of feel than we've ever used before musically, which was interesting. And immediately, when we started to write that, I wanted to create something that kind of told a story. Like what he already gave me was telling a story. I just kind of wanted to open it up and create something that could continue that path in a super cinematic big way. And I think Martin then contributed this artwork. I think as a whole, this title and this song kind of are quite cinematic and are very much telling a story.
Scott had this riff, and I don't know, talk about the music first.
Are you talking with riff, do you mean the chorus?
Yeah, the chorus.
The chorus section, yeah. Felt like something musically that just kept coming up as I was writing. It was a recurring theme that I kept hearing and something that kept coming back to me.
That's what I recall, is that chorus, the choral guitar, really having all of the open strings and having the chord underneath while there's a main line going at the same time sounded so majestic. It sounded like really triumphant.
Yeah, something really big and open and almost like kind of hopeful inside the music. It sounded like something we haven't really done. Not so much rock and roll, something different than rock and roll. A lot of the record is like that. It's not all with the intent of rock and roll. A lot of our records are like that, even though it's not always about rock and roll. Rock and roll appears on there, but it's about songs, I think that was just a really strong musical part.
And when I was hearing that great guitar line in the chorus, it made me want to write about something triumphant, going through different lyrics and listening, like, what's the guitar, what is that melody, what's that line trying to tell me? What is the song asking to be? And I was thinking about imperial joy, about following your bliss, and the lyrics saying that the blood that runs in my veins comes from the kisses of 200,000 years. So I'm going to follow my joy. I'll follow my joy as long as I'm here.
I had these shoes that when I got them, they were what I considered the ugliest boot in the store from our very good friends, Jeffrey West.
Was it the skunk boots?
Yeah, we call them the skunk boots. They're like a real snaky zip-up boot, ankle boot, and they're real pointy. But there's a white stripe up the middle, and they're all black with these white stripes up the middle. And I said, give me the ugliest boot in the shop. You know which one I'm talking about when I talked to Guy West. And he goes, oh yeah.
But that's what's cool about the Jeffrey West shoes, or the boots and shoes and everything.
Yeah.
It's pretty niche market, And it takes a lot of balls to pull those off. Right. And that's what makes them so cool.
So I was wearing those when we were out, and there was one time I was wearing them, and we were out on tour, and I had talked with Ozzy, and he had looked down and like made a comment about my shoes, like, I like those shoes. And you know, they took us on tour for 13 months. They're these like lovely people, and they're really gracious and wonderful to us. So we said, let's get Oz a pair of those boots. Like, what do you give the guy that can get everything? It's hard to like get gifts for those people, you know, but he had like liked something that I had. So we went, let's get him those boots. So we got him those boots, and he totally loved them. It was adorable. When I gave them to him, it was amazing. I think I was the only one in there. It was our friend Talita came with me, and I gave them to them, and he was genuinely happy about it. Right. It was amazing to like give him a gift and go like, oh, yeah, all right. And he was wearing like comfortable tennis shoes, as you should. He's like, whatever, 67 years old or something. And he immediately was like, oh, and he sat down and opened them, and he's like, oh yeah, I love these. And he took his shoes off and just put them on immediately. And I'm like, all right, man. It was pretty cool. I'm not a huge Kiss fan, sorry guys, but they're lovely people, and they've given us opportunity, all respect. But they all do solos throughout the night, and I was kind of like, of all the people that are gonna play solos, Gene's gotta be the least like musician-y, it's probably gonna suck. And I'm like, let's just watch tonight. And then I watched it, and I watched all their solos. They're all cool, and they're all really great guys too. And I'm like, I'm watching Gene's side stage, watching it. I got literally completely fucking leveled, thrashed. I was so stoked on it, I couldn't believe it. This is the best thing of the whole night. This is the best part of the show. This is one of the best things I've ever seen live. He does the samurai thing on the lift with the green and the blood, and it's so perfect, the whole thing. I changed my whole mind. So I am a fan. And I really loved it, and that was really cool production. Their whole show's out of control production.
Hi, I'm Jay Buchanan.
Scott Holiday, we're the Rival Sons.
And you are watching The Enemy.
We're not the enemy,
No.
but you're watching
You are
the enemy.
No.
Are you the enemy?
You're watching The Enemy.
See that stranger